Okay. He just texted me that he won't be at the meeting. He's getting a message that says he can't launch the meeting. So we'll just continue. I wonder if I could call him on the phone. Can he do it on his phone? All right, we'll just continue on till he might be able to fix it. Could I have, we're on approval of the meeting minutes from December 2021. Can I have a motion to approve those?
Make a motion to approve the December meeting minutes.
I second that. All in favor? Aye. I'd like to move for the public hearings. Let's move Sunset Motors up. So Mike looks like he's in a special place. And we'll move him up so he doesn't have to sit through everything else. And here's Stan.
Who's that, Dan?
Hi, Stan.
Hold on one second. We're just waiting for our other member to get on. Stan, are you here now? Hi. Okay, so I'll now like to open the public hearing on Sunset Motors seeking a new Class 2 car dealership license.
Motion
Okay.
open.
So, Mike, just why was there a delay in you getting your application in on time for a renewal?
It was of my doing. I've had some recent health issues, and it got by the cracks on me for the renewal. It's very basic. I mean, I should have sent in the renewal at the time. I think it's a $100 fee, and I missed the deadline. So now we have to reapply. We'll be doing the same things we've been doing for the last 45 years, buying and selling used cars. So nothing's much changed.
All right, so there was no issues though, as far as that you were not going to have the business longer or anything like that. It was just.
No, it was, and I totally screwed up.
Okay. Any questions from any other board members in regards to the application?
No. I don't have any questions.
I read through it. It looks good. Everything looks fine. The only thing that they might ask you for, Mike, the lease that we have a copy of is not signed by you.
Okay.
It's only signed by Betty. You might have to sign that. But other than that, I mean, it's in order. It's just not signed and dated.
I'll get in touch with Betty as rapidly as possible. I'll get it down to your office.
Okay. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the dealership, the Class 2 car dealership license for Sunset Motors?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So Michael, I'll
Thank
make
you.
a new license for you. I'll send it to the board to sign, and then we should have that for you next week, okay?
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. Miller.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'd now like to open the continuance of the public hearing on the outdoor live entertainment
What else? Thank you.
special permit. Thank you. This is a continuance of two other meetings that we've had in regards to this. At our last meeting, we had asked anybody in the public who had questions or feedback or ideas to please give them to us in writing. Nobody did. So
I did.
we will give,
I did.
Sam, what
I
questions did you send that we didn't answer?
I sent the board an email and you were on there as well.
didn't get any email from you, Sam.
Okay.
I have an email about your renewal paperwork back from November.
You, Lindsay, the email I'm referring to, you told
November
me
9th.
to not write the board. Oh, so that was before the last meeting?
Yep, so I wrote to you on, we
Okay,
had email
I got you.
communications going on November 9th, and I answered all your
I
questions.
got you. I forgot the timeline a little bit.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
yep.
So with that, we did not receive anything from anybody else in regards to questions, concerns. So at this point, if you have one last thing that you'd like to say, if you make it very brief, but at this point, I believe that we've discussed this enough, and my recommendation to the board is to, at this time, approve a new special permit for outdoor live entertainment. Has nothing to do with the annual entertainment permits that are already granted. So that would be my suggestion. We can always tweak the form out a little bit. We can get some input further. We could send out a draft for the public to look at and give them a month's time between meetings to give us their input on that. But I think at this point, we need to be moving forward.
Kelly, before we
Any
take
other-
public comment, I'd like to just add some information here since we have some new people on and a reporter here as well. So just to clarify, it doesn't replace the special one day. It does replace the special one day license, but it does not replace the annual. And I would suggest to the board too, if we have members of the public or our liquor licensees that are not comfortable with the application after we start implementing it, that the board could create a sounding board with members of the public or members of the licensing community, if we feel the need to tweak it as we go on. But this application I did create with the department heads, just as a recap here: police, fire, building, planning, and health. And we all agreed that this is really in line with all of our surrounding communities who are also implementing this new live outdoor entertainment application.
Dan or Tony, do you have anything that you want to add to that?
No, I'm good with that.
Nothing, Dan.
Okay, Sam, briefly, please.
Well,
ahead.
sure. Hi, everybody. So I'd just like to point out, like, there's no fee schedule in the paperwork that we've been shown. That's kind of a big deal.
It's replacing the special one day, Sam.
Okay, but there's no delineation of fees. That's fine. So I just, we're going off of a fairly limited amount of documentation here. And I guess if you want me to keep it brief, I mean, I think this is a completely inappropriate way to go about doing outdoor entertainment licenses. And I guess I just have to register my strong objection to this. And I believe that it's still totally being rushed. It's January. There's no outdoor entertainment going on in the city. And yet this application has far-reaching consequences for business owners like me, and there's no reason to even vote on it tonight, in my opinion. And I know you guys got to do what you got to do. This is, I don't want you to take what I'm saying critically. I just think I do have a number of concerns, and I've been talking to other people in town who also have concerns, and for various reasons they're not on the call tonight. But I think there's some unintended consequences here that I feel like once you vote this through, it's a lot harder to tweak it. And I know you said that you could do that, but I think this is going to have a really negative impact on my business and on musicians in town and on what we're able to do. And just to keep it brief, I totally respect that. But a big reason why my business moved entertainment outside at all is because of COVID. And that ongoing situation where business owners like me are torn between trying to keep the public safe and trying to keep the lights on has created some unique challenges that we've been just trying to do our best with. But businesses like mine, of which there are many in the city, are struggling. We're really struggling a lot. And I think I'm confident I can speak for the other businesses in town. Obviously, they didn't ask me to do that, but I'm pretty familiar with what we have going on, and we're just sort of trying to do our best. And this really hurts us. This application, it really does hurt us, and it really hurts the musicians here in town. So I would love more opportunity to express some of these concerns in detail. If you don't want me to do that right now,
Sam, all right.
that's
so
fine.
Sam, the last meeting, you had an entire month to put all of these in writing and give to us, and we received nothing.
I
This is
was
the
told
third
not
meeting.
to. I was told not to email the board the last time I tried to communicate. So
Right, the submission was to come to me, Sam, and we told that at the last 2 meetings, and that I would forward it to the board, so there was no deliberation to violate open meeting laws.
so that's fine. So would you like me to do that then? I mean, I'm happy to do that. I just don't see a reason to vote on this in January. I think you should keep continuing it to keep getting public comment. And
Well,
I'm-
Sam, this is the third meeting that we've had, so that is
let's have 5
3
meetings.
months' time.
It's just, I think this is totally rushed and totally inappropriate. So that's just,
Why is
and
it
that's,
inappropriate to we're getting your viewpoint on it, but we also have the viewpoint of the public. And
what has
you
the
know, as a
public
reminder,
said about this
Sam,
1-day permit?
Okay. So just to reiterate, Kelly, just to step in because I feel a little bit of tension here. So we already have a special 1 day in place, Sam, that you've been adhering to in your entirety of business. So nothing changes for you, essentially. I mean, I'm not seeing where anything is really impacting you. However, if you're saying that there are impacts in your business, of course, we want to hear about that. I think a suggestion to the board could also be that we have local businesses and licensees that are under Governor Baker's extension of premises right now until April 2022. So I do think within reason that we entering our 3rd year of a pandemic, we should say that this wouldn't take effect until June 1, 2022, because they are covered under the extension of premises to do their outdoor entertainment right now under that. And we don't want to cause additional hardships or conflict with that. With that said, nothing is really changing except for that the board will now have the ability to go out and review if things are too loud. They will be able to take in consideration. We did have public show up, Sam, to the last meeting saying that they want something like this in place.
It doesn't
So
say
that-
anything about noise volume in the application.
We can't deliberate volumes.
So what,
And
what are we doing here? This
we're
is
doing a
what I'm
special
saying.
1 day permit, Sam.
Hold
Okay,
on,
so
Lindsay.
let's just,
Sam,
I mean,
wait a second, Sam, stop.
mhm.
This all really came into effect by what happened at your bar and the neighbors getting upset that it was after 11 o'clock and it was so loud that they could hear it in their living rooms like they were standing in front of it. You had no permit to do that. Your permit was for in the amphitheater. You moved that band to your bar and continued playing, and people were calling the police and complaining. This is what has started all of this. And this is what we're trying to do, is not have this in the future. So if you had a 1 day permit to do outside entertainment at your bar for that, there would have been a mechanism where somebody would have called you and said, Sam, it's a little bit too loud. Could they please turn it down a little bit? Because people are hearing it across the pond in their living rooms, or their kids can't sleep. So we have to be considerate to the people that live around the bars also, and the outdoor entertainment. You know,
So just
you're
to
saying,
clarify,
oh,
this entire process you're saying is because of 2 complaints that we've had out of 8 years. Just because you're creating this special
no,
permit
there
for
have
me?
been, no,
Okay.
Sam, there have been other complaints, but you have seen it firsthand, what has triggered it.
Okay, so I totally agree with that. However, I would contend that here's my entertainment license, and it says on the premises, I can have amusements. And I understand that about the noise,
You're
and
on the premises, so
I
you were
apologize
outside.
on my premises.
You were
Yes.
outside.
on my premises.
No, your annual entertainment license is for inside.
It doesn't
That is
say
for
that
your
anywhere.
built
It doesn't say that anywhere. That's all I'm saying is that I think this is an imperfect way of going
Would you
about
like us to
solving this
change
problem.
your- So,
So you're
okay, then
so
we
this
need
is
to
what
reword
I'm
our
saying
annual
is
entertainment.
right.
So
So
the
the
annual
annual
entertainment
entertainment
comes from
doesn't
the state,
specify.
Sam.
No, I understand. So
Okay,
are
that's a
you
state.
proposing to change
We're
the
not
annual
changing the
entertainment
state regulations.
process?
We don't have the ability to do that. So in consultation with the ABCC Director, Ralph Sacramone, and our city solicitor, Mark Tanner, we were able to deliberate that, one, the board doesn't even need to hold a public hearing over this. We are doing this as a courtesy to our licensees and our public. We are doing this because of complaints we had in. The annual entertainment is under purview of MGLs with the state. So we don't control that, but that is for indoor entertainment. That is for.
It doesn't say that in any of
Your
the
agreement is
documentation.
for that lay with the state then.
Well, so no, that's so
We don't have control.
you
over the state
you can
government.
tell me whatever you want to tell me, but I'm going by documentation in writing. And it doesn't
Does the
say
annual
any.
permit cite the Massachusetts law on it? Does it say compliant with MGL?
Yeah, I
something?
haven't read all of the chapters of the
Yeah.
law, but it doesn't say anywhere in there that it
Exactly.
just says on the premises.
Well, then we need to be more specific on our licenses.
This
And
is
we
all
will
I'm
change
saying.
the wording. Well, this is what I'm saying then. We will change the wording on the licenses for indoor entertainment.
Okay.
Can I weigh in on this?
Oh, sure, Donna, go right ahead.
Hi, I'm a new resident of Easthampton. I haven't been here that long. I live in Eastworks, right down the street from New City, and I have been really happy to see entertainment in my neighborhood where people are out and being lively and enjoying themselves in a safe way. It has made me feel much safer to be able to enjoy the things that I enjoy in a public venue. I appreciate what New City has done and was doing over the course of the summer. I think that what Sam has asked for is to delay the vote, and I agree with him that that is a good option, so that all of the issues that he's raising can be just really thoroughly addressed. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that, Donna, and it's totally understandable, but we have asked Sam at our last meeting to put these in writing and present them to us. And here we are at another meeting and he's saying the same thing and he still has not presented it to us. So every meeting we go around and around with the same.
I didn't get any feedback on what I said on my last email either. So this is all I'm saying is I didn't get any feedback from the board. And I think there's, like I said, this is an imperfect way to solve a problem. And if you don't have anything in here about volume, then theoretically somebody pulls one of these permits and they play it at any volume they want. So if volume is the problem, this is not the way to solve it.
It's not only the volume thing, it's the time frame that we have.
And I told you already, Kelly, that I'm totally
Sam,
fine with having a time frame restraint. But when people brought up complaints about other businesses in town, it was in the middle of the day. It was a volume-based issue from their live entertainment outdoors. It wasn't a time of day thing. You know, I'm aware of the other complaints, some of the other complaints that have been made, and they're not addressed at all by this process. So that's all I'm saying. What it says in here when it defines live entertainment, it's any amplified speaker. Like technically, I would need one of these permits every time I turn on my background speaker for the patio that nobody's ever complained about.
And that is not what it says. Live entertainment is a band playing live music.
This is not how it's defined.
So Sam, we have the ability to
Right
change
here.
certain pieces of the language here. That was taken right from that MGL you're looking at.
Right.
So
What
that's
does
the
it say?
state. That's the state. That's what the state
Okay.
says.
Right.
Can't change the state MGL, Sam. So your grievances with language belong to the state. And we as a local entity, licensing
What-
authority, can only follow state regulations. So let's take a step back. I just pulled up your email from November 9th that you sent to myself and the board members that I responded to. Your first concern was with the language of amplification. Again, this is within reason. We talked to the fire department and our police department about thresholds for entertainment outdoors. What triggers the need for a police detail, for fire inspections, for things like that. Okay. Your second issue was with the fees, that there was no fee on there.
I didn't receive that information, what you just said. I didn't receive that information at all.
Do you want me to resend the email? We had a back and forth conversation about this in an email.
About what would trigger a police detail?
We went over that in our first meeting, our first public hearing.
I'm saying,
We've
okay.
already addressed all these issues, yeah.
But is it in writing for other people like me to look at?
I could certainly create
would
a
have been in the
policy,
minutes.
but it was in the public hearing, which we invited people to attend. So that's the opportunity to hear all the ins and outs of it.
And it would have been in the minutes from that meeting, if we talked about it.
I can go back over all of that, but I think it should be in the application.
So, I mean, if you think something should be in the application, Sam, the board can discuss adding that, but we don't have to add that. It would be as a courtesy. We talked about this, myself and all the other department heads talked about this and made agreements because of based on already standing outdoor entertainment and special one-day applications that have been in place for my entirety here. This is also in line with our surrounding communities and what they've started to implement. Do you want to go through your concerns on the email that you're feeling you didn't get response to?
Please.
Okay, so your second concern was the fees. So I agree with that, Sam. Like we need to have on the application, as we do right now for the special one day, what our fees are, or to post somewhere on our website. And I would suggest that the board keep the same fees we already do for special one day permitting, so it doesn't change anything for our business owners at this time. It'd be $75, I think, for profit, $50 nonprofit, $75 all alcohol, $50 beer and wine. So I would keep that. And I agree with Sam that it needs to be somewhere in writing. Again, we were in the preliminary stages and holding public hearings to get all this information out. So that was the second thing on Sam's list I think we do need to add. Your third concern was also in line with money, $125 per day, limited 30 days per year. You're questioning that. This again is just replacing the special one day. So you could essentially apply and say, I'm doing in one application, I'm having an outdoor event on this day, this day, this day, and that day, same concept as before, and you're only paying that application fee once. Again, just replacing the special one day that you've already adhered to. So in this email, we do discuss the police and fire details, Sam, because you're asking about the thresholds for 50 people in attendance for events. And that comes down on police and fire. They do have regulations that they follow. So we'd have to adhere to their regulations. That's police and fire. You could certainly question their MGLs and their regulations. I don't have any control over that either. So whatever Chief Norris and Chief Alberti explained to me as what their thresholds are that trigger needing a medic on site or police detail. And this goes for larger outdoor events. So I don't know if their threshold is going to be 0 to 100 and then 100 plus people triggers needing details. I don't have all that information yet. We're still waiting for that information. So that would be with police and fire, but we will have all that squared away.
This is exactly why I think we should wait, because all of that should be accessible for people applying for this. It's not just about me. It should all be there in writing that you can look at and that you can decide. I just want to, okay, great. So I just want to walk through one quick thing. It's not possible to apply for every outdoor music event all at once. Not for me anyway, because that's not the way music booking works. You can't just, you don't see the entire year of potential shows long in advance. I would have to apply multiple times. And if 50 people triggered the need for a police detail, that's horrible for a business like me. And it's never been necessary before. You know, and you're talking
Sam,
about
it is
a
necessary.
massive, why, it's not
It's been
necessary at
required
all
for our
right
Mill
now.
Pond series. It's been required for.
Yeah,
It is.
that's way more than 50 people. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is our regular course of business would involve outdoor entertainment during pandemic time, because that's what is more economical and safer for the public. Usually we would have all of our entertainment indoors, and like those parties that were complained about, the only reason they were outside was because of COVID and the indoor mask mandate and the
Okay,
need for
Sam,
social
we were gonna
distancing.
have
So
a
I'm
brief
just saying,
conversation. Hold
yeah,
on,
that's fine.
I want to
I
ask
just think this
one
is,
thing.
you could go ahead.
Sam, stop a second. I have a question for you. And I think either you're taking this very personally and you think that there's something you're going to be singled out, your business is going to be singled out for, that you're going to be denied some kind of permits, which has never happened to you with this board ever, that you have ever been denied a one-day permit for anything or any other kind of permit. But my question to you is, when the pandemic extensions expire come, it's April, right, Lindsay? In April,
Yes,
and you do not have that large outdoor patio, you wouldn't even have enough space to be having a large outdoor thing, correct?
I've got that patio that's on the brick. My current layout is
No,
my license.
the
That's my
patio that you-
licensed premises.
Correct. But the
But not the
patio
park-
that you
not
have
the
out in
parking lot.
parking lot.
Right.
Right. So your space is going to downsize considerably once this expires. That you wouldn't even be able to fit 50 people on your patio out there. If you were
Certainly
doing
could.
a band, with a band,
Yeah, I would say it's probably in excess of
Pushing
75.
it. all right, but, and that's what the fire department says you can have out there? That's for your occupancy?
They never brought up outdoor spaces. I've asked about that. They did not address outdoor space as part of my occupancy at all.
Well, they may now. That might be
That-
coming up.
Sure. I could talk to Captain
Right.
Dan about that.
Right, but that's one of the things, you know, you seem to be really having a problem with us reviewing outdoor entertainment. And I don't understand why you're having such a hard time with it, because you've never been denied any kind of outdoor permit. You've never had to have one for your premise that you're on right now, because it's only ever been music that you've piped outside. But I don't understand why you think you would have such a problem if you were to have a band out there.
My issue wasn't thinking that you would deny my permits. My issue is the cost in terms of time and money to pull the permits.
Why would it be different than if you were getting a one-day permit, though? It's going to be the
Because
same
I'd never
cost.
had to get one-day permits to have music as a regular part of my business. And because you're capping it at 30 days a year.
But that's what the one-day permits are right now.
Right, but
That's not changed.
the way this is written is anytime I have live entertainment outdoors, I need one of these permits.
And how
and
much
there's a-
live entertainment outdoors are you planning on having?
I mean,
Are you
I would
planning on
have
having a
potentially
dance every
3.
week?
Sure. I mean, when we were pre-COVID, we were having 3 or 4 shows a week. And if the weather was good, I would have them outside in the interest of public safety during a pandemic.
Well, that's what the pandemic and you were granted, to extend your outside.
right. So
But that doesn't mean
pre-pandemic,
that you
Sam,
could have
did you,
200 people.
pre-pandemic,
What,
Sam,
Lindsay?
did you have people on the patio space with a DJ or band?
Not regularly, no.
Okay. So I think that's kind of like where our disconnect from the board to you is right now. So pre-pandemic, you never had live outdoor entertainment, essentially. You have now
Definitely did.
had that.
Just not like with the regularity that I would in this very difficult time that we're in.
Well, and those things are taken into consideration, not only on our level, but also on the state level right now. And if the state grant certain things, we have to abide by those. So, just like you were allowed to expand your serving area without having to amend your liquor license. So if the state says that for now, that no matter what we have for 1-day permits, that entertainment is to be outside, we have to go with that. So we have
The
to go by
state,
what
the
we're
state
governed
didn't,
by also.
but the state didn't address anything to do with entertainment. It was just about alcohol licensees being able to extend their premises without having to go through the alteration of premises process. But that runs out, like you said, it runs out in April, and it's gonna, there's no real desire for people to be outside, right now. It's pretty cold out there.
Right, but you're saying the extension didn't address entertainment, but it did give people this opportunity to do outdoor entertainment that they wouldn't have been able to do without the special 1 day. So again, once we
In an extended premise, it allowed you to extend your premises, which by extension extended your ability to have entertainment on that premises. But all I'm saying is we would still be able to do entertainment outside, like you said, Kelly, for probably a smaller number of people. But anytime I wanted to do that, I would need to spend a bunch of extra money and time. And that is the core of my issue with this. I think this application is much more appropriate for like large events like Thunder in the Valley or things that are not in the regular course of business for annual license holders. That's really my main objection.
Yeah, I think what we had been hearing too, though, is that if we have your event on your property, we have Millside Live going, we have something across town with Thunder in the Valley going, all these things are going at once, which affects people who aren't into these areas. They're not into going out or frequent like outdoor live entertainment and culture. And we have to take into consideration the entire community, not just our businesses. So we walk this fine line of trying to make everyone happy and make it work for everyone. So, I mean, it would be up to the board, but I mean, we can suggest doing, like I already said in the beginning of this meeting, a sounding board, Sam, where we implement an application, but over the next few months until the extension expires, we have a business owner, a member of the public, myself, a fire captain, someone on that board going through the ins and outs of the application and fine tuning it. I mean, I'm throwing out suggestions here because I'm trying to make it work for everyone. However, we do have these local towns and cities that are already doing this under the state's purview, under local licensing. We have the complaints. I feel we need something in place. And I know, Sam, you've shown up to all 3 public hearings saying you don't think it's time. And you are
the only one who has shown up. Nobody else in the community, no other license holders have come in or given any feedback.
Well, I mean, Matt from Abandoned Building, he was in the middle of a brew today. He couldn't be here. City councilors have also expressed the desire to be here, but
everyone had time to send in writing. And nobody submitted in writing either. Only one person on the opposing end of you submitted in writing.
Okay. I can certainly encourage people that have shown their support to me about this to submit their concerns in writing, no matter what the board does today. And I'm happy to continue to participate in the process. I do feel a little bit all alone out here, as you pointed out. I don't think that means that I'm the only person that would be concerned with this. I think a lot of it is people aren't engaged with the public process. And I know that's not your fault, any of you, and I respect what you're trying to do. I've already said many times that I'm totally fine with parameters around outdoor entertainment. For example, if we are having music outside, I'm totally fine with a cutoff so that people aren't getting disturbed at home. And I just want to reiterate that I know it sounds like I'm a little stressed out about this stuff because I am. But I also am sensitive to the community. We've always been about building community here. I'm not trying to throw midnight raves outside that are keeping people's kids up. That is absolutely not our intention. Our intention is to try to balance, like I said, keeping people safe during a pandemic where they're more comfortable outside and trying to keep the lights on here and trying to support our musician friends that have been such a crucial part of our business. So I believe the way this is written is flawed. I'm happy to submit more of my concerns in writing, and I think it's going to be very bad for us and for the rest of the businesses like mine. So that's about all I have to say, I guess. And I appreciate you hearing me out.
Thank you, Sam.
So I totally get the things that you're saying, and I think because the applications come before us, it is within our purview to look at each application on its own basis. And like you say, if you're planning on having live entertainment every Friday and Saturday evenings, then something we might be able to critique your application to you more. We would not expect that we would be collecting $100 for every night that you're doing that type of thing. So I think every application has to be looked at on its own merits. So with that being said, I mean, you know, Matt has done his food truck Fridays and has never used up all 30 of his 1-day permit allotment. You know, and once again, we're looking at each one individually. So say from May to October, you're doing outside entertainment every Friday and Saturday night. I think our concern is not how much money we can collect from you for an application. It's more that we say, okay, music runs from 8 o'clock till 10 o'clock. That's more what we're looking for here. That would keep the people that live nearby that can hear this music. They know it's going to end at 10 o'clock. So they're not going to be calling the police at, you know, 9:45 saying, this has been going on all night. How long is this going to go? They know it's going to go to 10 o'clock. So I think that's what we're trying to do here more. We're not trying to, you know, strap your business with a burden of having to pay for so many applications. I think when you decide what your entertainment's going to be for the next coming summer, that's when you come before us, and that's when we discuss it and vote on it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Sam?
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And it does make sense. It's just not exactly the way music booking works for a typical venue. That's all. But I could certainly pull permits for every Friday, Saturday night with those understandings. And then if I didn't, you know, happen to use them, I mean, I would still have permitted use if the board approved it. But I mean, if I went to like a Thursday night, then I would need to go through this whole process the way it's written. So
But that's part of the reason behind the process. Why we have that is so that there is public input. So if you're going to pull a permit for every Thursday night, that neighbor of yours can come before the board and say, hey, wait a minute, this is going on every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night of the summer. That's not fair to me. And that's like one of the complaints that we got. Somebody expressed exactly that. So we need to be able to give the public time for input. That's the whole point of the permit. You pull the permit, we put it out there in a notice saying, hey, this permit's been pulled. You can show up at the public hearing and voice your concerns. That's their time to come forward and say, I don't want this or I support this. That's the whole point of the permit. That's why it needs to be there. You know, it'd be great if we could have flexibility so that you can just do, you know, whatever you want on any night that you want, but that doesn't give the public the opportunity to come before the board and say, hey, wait a minute, I don't agree with this.
I was about to say exactly that, Stan. So thank you for that piece of input too. It really is us trying to balance our business and our communities at the same time and make everybody happy and coexist. So we're really working our best to do that here, Sam. And I hope you understand that, just like we hear you when you say you're not looking to throw midnight rangers and disturb the public. We have never once thought that about any of our businesses, but we have, you know, received complaints, and not just about your business. I mean, there's other businesses throughout town that I've received a multitude of complaints on, and there's nothing I can do about it after the fact either. So having this in place allows a live person to be able to go over there and say, hey, you're not permitted for this time. Or if someone calls, the police can say, you know what, they're permitted till 11. If it goes on after that, give us a call. So it's really there for structure.
Yeah, all I'm
Can I-
saying is, I think it's a bit flawed because it doesn't have anything about noise, which is the primary driver of these complaints about outdoor music are volume of noise. Yes, there was like the late night, but I'm aware of some of the complaints, like I said, and that has nothing to do with time of day. It's all about volume. And if you can't regulate volume with this, there needs to be a noise ordinance. And I know that's not the purview of the board, but that would solve that problem. And this doesn't. That's been one of my chief objections.
And
And if somebody complains about me, but I got the permit, I can turn it up as loud as I want. And I'm not the only one who might see it that way. And I, as a responsible person, responsible community member, I would not do that. I would turn it down. But
But that's
without
the whole
any kind of
point.
measure for volume, you're gonna have more complaints. And
But that's one of the issues when you get a permit, and if you do just that, if you say, okay, I have this permit, I'm going to crank up the volume as loud as I want, because I've got this magic permit, the next time you come before the board and you say, I would like a permit, we're going to say, no. That's the
Right.
whole point of it. That's why we need to have these permits in place so that we can then say, well, wait a minute, you're not being responsible. You're not being a good neighbor. And we require businesses to do that. We require businesses to be good neighbors it's not all about making money. It's about the community. I get that, you're in business to make money and you need to have these events to make money. We're here saying, okay, we need to kind of keep things peaceful with the neighbors around you.
I just think there's no measure for it. And that's what a noise ordinance would do.
And
So
Sam, real
it's up
quick,
to you. It would just be up to you guys whether you
we can't-
want to grant the permit or not.
We can't do anything with a noise ordinance. That's up to city council. They've indicated
Totally.
they have no interest in it.
Yeah.
And
I've
so
actually received totally opposite information. So
let's just stop here.
it's
Sam.
all good.
I just do want to say also, Sam, that I talked about a possibility of doing decibel measures and things like that. Health and fire and police all said no to that. Unfortunately, licensing can't go to the mayor because she's a stakeholder here. But I am aware of there are no plans for a noise ordinance. Even if there were, that would have to go through city council and it could take up to a year. So I think in the meantime, we need the application. If a noise ordinance came into play, we would tweak it from there. And I do appreciate everyone's comment. Donna, did you have something else before we?
Well, when I looked at the agenda for today's meeting, I couldn't find where I would see this document that you're talking about. I
You
couldn't
can't.
couldn't find it on the website.
It's not an official document yet, so I can't post it to the city website.
I see.
And
Okay.
it was it
So-
shared out to all our
so-
local licensees.
I see. I see. Thank you.
Anybody else comments? So really what it comes down to, Sam, I think with the whole, I know you say there should be a noise ordinance. I think it's just gonna come down to what's reasonable. And you know what's reasonable. You know what you wouldn't want to be hearing if you were sitting in your living room at 11 o'clock at night. You know what's reasonable. So, and that's what we have to look at the permittees, what they know if they're playing their music way too loud and they're right next to a neighborhood. And I'm not saying, that's not you. You're not next to a neighborhood, but there are other people, other businesses that are going to be pulling permits that are next to a neighborhood. So, we can't do it just to you. It's across the board. So there is, and that's why everybody has to come for a permit. Thunder in the Valley is going to have a way louder music sound than somebody that's in the middle of a neighborhood. So that's why there's a permitting process. So each permit can be individually looked at and addressed. All right, if nobody else has any other comments, I'm back to my original. I think that we should vote to proceed to approve the creation of the permit and open it up to that we would send out a draft to licensees and people that we've gotten public comments on that have the concerns. Within 30 days between two meetings, they can mark them up and send them back to us. And then we can work on getting the final permit form and move forward from there.
Well, how does someone make a public comment if it's not publicized? Just a member of the
We
public
had,
like
we had
myself.
particular people who had expressed concerns. We can reach out to them. If you would like to be one of them, if you provide Lindsay with your email address, we'd be more than happy to send you a draft of it.
Or my email is on the website. You're welcome to email me and I'm happy to send over that document to you.
And I'm sorry, but you just say licensing board, so it's Lindsay. What's your last name?
Oh yeah, sorry about that. It's Lindsay Mailer. If you go to the Easthampton, Mass website and go to licensing, all the information is there for contact.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dan, Tony, you want to add anything to that?
I don't.
No.
Could I have a motion?
I can make a motion. I'm not quite sure how to make a motion to approve the one day licensing preliminary application.
Vote to approve the creation of a live outdoor entertainment application.
Is that your motion, Tony?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so for the next meeting, we will have a draft prepared, and anybody that would like to see a copy of that draft, Sam, you're on the list already. We'll send that out to them.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Continuing now with public hearings, the continuation of the increase in the licensing fees. Implementation of increased fees for the alcohol and car dealership licenses to be in line with other local communities.
So just for
And
people on the call,
I
Kelly,
just want to, it would go into effect for 2023.
we had our initial meeting about this in 2019. In our meeting in 2020, we decided to continue it to 2021. In 2021, we decided to continue to 2022 with the suggestion of implementing in 2023. So this has been an on-table discussion since 2019 for increasing our fees. The last fee schedule I provided to the board was from 2019. So unfortunately, I don't have anything newer for our local surrounding cities and towns. However, we are on, as of 2019, we were some of the lowest fees in Massachusetts based on population. So we are roughly $500 or more lower than all surrounding cities and towns for liquor licensees. After doing all this research with my listserv and this document I had sent you all, taking into consideration the pandemic, I don't think it's a good idea to go much further than 10% increase at this time. So a 10% increase on licensing.
$130.
So it would bring our $1,313 all annual up to a $1,444, which is still well under our surrounding towns, which are above to $2,200 for all their all alcohol. For wine and malt, that would bring the $875 to $962, still well below the $1,500 of our surrounding towns. The tricky part for me was on the breweries. I don't know who was here or what decisions were made to make the brewery fee only $100. Our surrounding towns are in line with their beer and wine, their wine and malt stores and licensees at $875, $1,000, $1,500. The lowest fee I found in Massachusetts besides ours was $400, and that was in Westfield. So I ran into this issue when figuring out the fees. If we're boosting our all alcohol and wine and malt by 10%, it would be fair to boost the brewery 10%, but then looking at that, that's an insane increase for our breweries as well. So I don't really have a great suggestion other than doing half of what we do for beer and wine for our breweries to be a little more in line. That still brings us well under by $800 with what other cities and towns do for their breweries. But I wouldn't suggest going over $437 for them.
Sam, you're still here, right?
Hi there.
Sam, hi, when we did the breweries, and I kind of remember, was there a state, was it something from the state that made it for the $100?
That's my understanding. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something to do because it was a new permit. It was something new. They just started granting these permits because you and Matt got them right when they first came out with them, or they established them right when you were starting up. And that's where that $100 came from, because it was to help you guys get off the ground and establish your product and bring them in. And so it was the ABCC in the state that suggested that fee schedule, that amount. So that's why it's so less than what the liquor licenses were. So that's, I don't know why these other towns, if it's because they don't even have breweries in them. I mean, I can't imagine there's no breweries in Cambridge.
Most breweries our scale are farmer breweries, and that's the license they created, was called a farmer series pouring permit that has a lot of restrictions compared to a standard beer and wine or all liquor license.
Right. So that's how it is. You can only do your beer in your brewery, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the same thing with Matt, and I believe the same thing with Fort Hill. So that's why the licensing fee is so low. It is just really a pouring permit.
Correct.
I don't even, I don't know. I think that it is the way it should be because it's just a pouring permit. They're not doing anything else. They would have to actually change their license if they were to bring somebody else's product in or serve something else in their establishment. So
we would have to pull a liquor license to my knowledge. Right. And the way it's written, federal and state, is actually really complicated to do that on the premises of a brewery. You have to have almost like a separate business, and like there's this whole separate process it's called a tavern on premises. I looked into it a little bit, but it's involved. It's very involved.
So I'm in agreement with the 10% across the board, except for I think the farmer's pouring permit should stay the same. The brewery farmer's pouring permit.
So a 10% fee increase for a farmer brewing would bring them to 110. You want to keep them at 100 flat?
I think that we should keep them at what they are right now.
Okay. What does the board feel about a 10% increase with beer and wine and all alcohol?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. What is the drive behind the increase?
We are the lowest fees in Massachusetts. So this is to be in line with other cities and towns for revenue.
Okay.
But I think it still leaves us, no matter what we talk about, we still have the option of decreasing fees like we did in the previous years. If the
Yeah.
pandemic continues on.
Yeah,
And we
I'm
can go back to,
I'm hesitant to increase anyone's fees during a pandemic.
Right.
Things are tough enough right now. I don't see the point.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think we have to do it this year either. I think that just since we've been having this discussion for 2019 and we kept delaying it, I mean, we could even say that it could be a vote on the board that this goes into effect for 2024. However, I think that if we do that, then we're going to just be back in the same place where we're lower than everybody else. It's kind of like when we talk about minimum wage. Once we finally get people there, then we're already back down on where we need to be. So we could certainly delay this for another year or vote to implement it for a different year or just table it.
I would say let's table this for another year.
yeah, I think we should bring it back up to our November meeting and see where we are when we get to November.
Mhm.
Am I allowed to speak here?
Sure.
So one of the things that I was interested in was a wine license. So I would object to any increase in fees. I don't even know if it's possible. I was trying to see if there were other licenses on your website and.
We should connect about that then. Send me an email. We'll set up
Yeah.
time to have a Zoom call together.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're
I
welcome.
will do that.
I'd volunteer
so could
to
I-
help you. I'd volunteer to help you too if you need any advice from somebody who's gone through a lot of permit processes. Just you can get in touch with me if you need to.
Thank you so much. I
course.
appreciate that.
So can I have a motion to table the review of increases to the licenses till our November meeting?
Motion to table the review of the licenses until increase in licensing fee until the November meeting.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. We have no special one-day applications. New or old business, Lindsay?
No. Not this time.
Can I have a motion to close the meeting?
Wait,
Motion to adjourn?
no. We need to
What?
start our next meeting.
What? Oh, yes, calendar. Hold on. February.
Hold on, my computer just froze. Okay.
Lindsay, you have to tell us your
I'm
availability.
waiting for my calendar pull up. I'm so sorry. Let me look at my phone. It's not working here. Wednesday, February 9th.
4 o'clock? 4
Yeah,
o'clock, Lindsay?
that would be great.
That work for everyone else?
That was the
Fine with
9th.
that.
You said the 9th, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Does that work for you, Stan?
What was the time again? I'm sorry.
4.
4 o'clock?
Okay.
Good for you, Tony?
I'm good.
Okay. And February 9th at 4 o'clock.
All right. Motion to
Now
adjourn.
can I have a motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.